as we look into, the budget for 2025. But by the way, though, my name is Uduak Daniel, and yes, Nigeria's inflation rate, has been on the rise. There's no two ways about it. I mean, with the latest figures showing a 0.72% increase from October's rate of 33.88% to 34.60% in November of 2024. Now, this surge is primarily driven by rising food prices, which have increased by 39.93%. Yes, you heard me, 39.93%. And this is compared to the same exact period from last year. Now, to understand the very context of this, issue, it is very essential for us to examine the whole historical background, of Nigeria's economic challenges. Nigeria, from a little bit of research, I've come to find out that Nigeria, we have struggled with inflation. For several years, with the rates, has been fluctuating from between 10% up until 20%, and all of that. But however, though, the recent surge in the inflation can be attributed to various factors. Some of the petrol subsidy and the floating of the naira, which is very, very recent, especially with the Tinubu administration right there. And some of these economic reforms, introduced by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in May of 2023, was aimed to stabilize the economy. But they have had unintended consequences, such as increased petrol prices and a devalued naira. If you also take a point in case, remember one of our family members calling in, saying that, look, most of the time, I think it's Barrister Hassan, if I'm not mistaken, this morning, saying that most of the time, what we have found, is the fact that the president has been somewhat in a hurry in making some very loud statements and, trying to effect a certain reform without actually seeking the relevant stakeholders to look into, these reforms, just before he makes pronouncements. Case in point again would be the announcement of subsidy is gone by Mr. President on the very day he was inaugurated right there. And we have seen how that has consequently panned out in our lives. Standard of living here and there, everything has gone on the high, even though there has been efforts by the Central Bank of Nigeria and some very goodwill messages from Wale Edun, Minister of Finance right there, saying that, hey, you know what, it might just be, it might have come impromptu at the time, but yeah, if you gave it just a little bit of time, you might begin to see the gains of material for far too long. But while in wait, we have seen the increment of exacerbating, and it has not been very, very side by side, if you juxtapose it side by side with the reality of what's going on in the country today. And yet again, right, tax reform bills, and I think Barrister Hassan also pointed out that, hey, there's a need for, Mr. President to just want to push for to be implemented, but then it has to go under the knife or under every Nigerian. I think one of the things that he suggested was the need for a town hall meeting, right? During this Nigeria, we've seen several town hall meetings, but I do not see or town hall meetings, in this dispensation, right? But that one of the family members had made, and this thought echoes, that I've also heard, I've been privy to, where quite a number of Nigerians of the economic hardships and all that inflation has carried along. If you also take it back to the protest and all of that, the hashtag NBAGA, the bane of it was that, hey, we don't know what's going on. Nobody's being carried along. We just come up and we see certain changes, and these changes are not very favorable, whether it's coming from the central bank, to startups, and or it's coming from, the removal of fuel subsidy, or it's coming from the floating of the naira and all of that. These are not favorable, and it doesn't seem as though we are being carried along. If you also recall that we saw how World Bank, had also said that, at some point it has said, okay, let's give the Tinubu reforms, a chance, maybe a space of 6 months and all of that, to see that it is well embedded and all. But the same World Bank had come up again to saying that these reforms have not been very nice anymore, and it's not been helping the standard of living. And it makes, it gives us a different statement as to, where the World Bank or some of these international bodies, where they really stand as it comes to, issues that concern Nigeria. But then let's also look at, the fact that the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, reports that the headline inflation rate showed a marginal showdown on a month-on-month basis, but the year-on-year increase highlights ongoing pressures on consumers. Now, the core inflation, excluding food and energy prices, rose to 28.75% as of November of 2024. That's the core inflation now. Now, the regional variations in inflation are significant. I mean, with Bauchi, states like Bauchi, Kebbi, and the highest year-on-year inflation rate. Urban inflation stands at 37.10%, while rural inflation is at 32.27%. Now, the rise, in inflation has significant implications for, each and every one of us, especially our households now, particularly those who are living in urban areas. I mean, the increased cost of living, which is driven by the rising, food prices, has reduced the purchasing power of consumers. Furthermore, though, the devalued naira has also made imports more expensive, and that has contributed to higher prices for goods and services. All right, but let's take a case in point again, just before we allow for, the introduction of our guest, who's going to be joining us via phone call. And now, the impact of rising inflation on Nigerian households is very evident. I mean, I'll take a story of a mother of three who's living in Lagos. I came across a story now. She has recounted how the increased cost of food and transportation has reduced drastically her family's standard of living. Now, from what she said, and I quote, says, "We used to be able to afford 3 meals a day, but now we have to ration our food. The prices of everything have gone up, and our salaries haven't increased," she said. But now let's just look at the fact that Nigeria's economic challenges, it's not new. I said it before, I'm saying it again for reiteration purpose. I mean, it's historical. As I told you, it started from the 10% to 20% now. Where are we now? We're at 34.60%. Some are even saying that it has gone higher than that. That what we only find is just a way of not trying to paint the situation in its real form, so that we don't have panic here and there and all of that. But then again, the country has also struggled with corruption, inflation, mismanagement of resources for decades. I mean, the recent surge in inflation is also a culmination of these long-standing issues. Just recently, we saw a bill that has been sponsored or passed first reading now by, the Senator Ned Nwoko, who had said that, hey, this bill is seeking to see that, transactions, in Nigeria within the country are done in naira and not dollar. Well, a good thing. Quite a number of Nigerians saying that, well, thank God it has passed, first reading, and they're hoping that it will be, institutionalized already. I remember Honorable Edwards, making that clear, saying that, hey, the president should just go ahead and, this one doesn't need any public hearing. He should just go ahead and pass it very quickly. There is no need to want to deliberate on it in any, But then, that being said, though, there are certain issues that also culminate or can become some aspects that we must look into as we try to unbundle the topical issue, Nigeria's rising inflation rate, right? Try to unbundle the impact that it is having. Now, there are economic factors, there are, social factors, there are political factors, but then let's introduce our guest and bring him, up, to have this conversation with us this morning. Now, who is our guest? He is none other but Mr. Benedict Olalekan Agunloye. Now, he's an information professional, a policy and public affairs analyst, and he's going to be doing justice, to the discourse this morning. But whilst we're still trying to connect with him at this juncture, let's just very quickly run through the economic factors, the social factors, the political factors. Now, the removal of the petrol subsidy, economically, right? The removal of the petrol subsidy and the floating of the naira have had significant, economic implications, to us. The increased cost of petrol has driven up transportation cost. But if you're looking at the social factor now, you'll also come to identify the fact that the rise in inflation has, particularly now for low-income, households, low-income earners. Now, the increase somewhat reduced the purchase, made it quite difficult, for consumers to afford basic, necessities. And then if you're putting it, you wouldn't indeed understand how critical the situation is. But from the aspect for the exacerbating the inflation crisis. Now, Central Bank of Nigeria's decision to increase has been seen as a measure to control inflation, but it has also increased the cost of borrowing for businesses as well as borrowing for individuals right there. Well, Mr. Benedict Olalekan Agunloye, good morning and welcome to the Prog Show this morning.
Good morning.
Right. It does feel good to have this conversation with you today. We're looking at the Nigeria's rising inflation rate. We're trying to understand the impact. We're trying to unbundle it already so that there will be no mincing words, in looking at it. There are several concepts, that we might as well want to look into. One of such would be the inflation rate itself, right? Another would be from the place of food prices. There's been a soaring, of food prices over time, and it's already been exacerbated even with the Yuletide season. In fact, we saw a report as of last week where a certain association had said that, look, this December is going to be a tough one in terms of food price. In fact, in terms of availability of food, and that would not be unrelated to the issues with pricing system for fuel in the country, right? And then you might as well want to consider the economic reforms, the monetary policies, the fiscal policy. Today, we're supposed to, for 2025, all of that, the monetary policy, the fiscal policy, the supply chains, and all of that global economic trends outside, this discourse as well. But 34.60% inflation rate is what we are battling with at this point in time. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think that very clearly the inflation is on, and if nothing is done urgently, it will continue. How do I mean? How the NPR and other strategies being put in place meant for urban economy. We don't control the money that is not in the bank. If 90% of money are outside the bank, the raising interest rate is just cutting the manufacturer's ability and reducing purchasing power.
Right.
That is that now I think money time. Now because you have raised the interest rate to maybe 30% or 27%, somebody on the street can then decide to say, I have my money. If you want it, I'm giving it to you at 40% interest rate. If you are not interested, go. So you realize that businesses are struggling at the moment to raise funds because of the NPR. That's number one. Number two is that the policy on fuel. Now you have local refining, but the prices are still going up. When they are jacking up the price, they are increasing by 50 or 100 naira or more. And then you come back and tell us there is a reduction of 20 naira. Of course, that reduction never surfaces in the market at all. So consistently for more than 18 months, the price of transportation has been on the rise. Now, if we are rich fed, our economy is rich fed and diesel driven. So diesel is expensive and road transport is expensive. We expect that will impact directly on the general price level. When it comes to agriculture, even at the time of harvest, the prices still did not go down appreciably. Why? Because we are not looking at the cost between the farm and the market locations. So definitely, if we want to attack inflation, we need to attack the cost of transport. We possibly have to start looking at making electric vehicles available in the farm space or CNG, and then of course we have to energize the rail back. Even if it's the monorail or the mono gauge or the standard gauge, whichever gauge we call it. This line from Port Harcourt to Nguru, the line from Lagos to Kano, we need to make sure that they are working and that farmers on either side of the route can begin to bring their products. So therefore we realize that if the cost of transporting the food items from the point of production to the market become reduced, then at that point there can be a reduction in the price of food in the market. The production of food alone is not sufficient to drive down the price. So we have to work out that logistics. You take it from how you take it from the farm and how it gets to the market. And of course, because of the logistics also, we realize that for cassava, I know that the post-harvest decomposition is still very high, which means that when a farmer harvests between 3 to 5 tons and we are challenging taking them to the market, you might discover that more than 10%, 20 or 30% of the cassava will eventually be damaged. So when you are looking at cost, the cost of those 30% that is damaged is added to the cost of the remaining 70%, and so that for the 70% will definitely become higher. The same thing goes for food, the same thing goes for tomato, the same thing goes for pepper. All number of these things are highly perishable. And so when there are uncertainty in transport, then there are post-harvest losses, there are transit losses. When you get to the destination, the price has to be recalibrated so that they can remain in business.
So, Sir Benedict, are you saying that the price, rising price of food, food prices has affected the purchasing power of consumers? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
The rising price definitely will reduce the purchasing power of the consumer.
Okay.
Because the consumer does not have an inelastic earning. You cannot grow your earning overnight. That's the reality. For people on salary, the salary is fixed until there is negotiation and there are adjustments.
Right.
So when the transport price, for instance, continues to increase every week.
Okay, Yeah.
then we expect that the people can no longer go to some of the places they are able to go.
Let's quickly look at some of the statements and from stakeholders and all of that. Now, Prince Adeyemi Adeniran, Statistician General of the Federation and NBS CEO, National Bureau of Statistics, that is, he is quoted to saying the rise in inflation is attributed to increased average prices of certain items within the basket of goods and services. Now, the president, number one citizen of Nigeria, said the economic reforms are necessary for long-term stability, but we acknowledge the short-term challenges. Long-term stability, he says, but then he also acknowledges that there is a short-term challenge going on right there. Do you agree with the president's statement, in this regard, especially when we are capturing, the inflation in Nigeria and what projections could be?
Well, when you talk about long-term stability, I agree totally that may be necessary. But in the short term, what are the things that are being done? We've been rigmaroling around CNG buses and CNG cars forever. Up till now, they are not clear. People are making good businesses and are smiling to the bank or smiling to their vote individually. But there should be a better policy, like we said, to address transportation. When you say let's remove subsidy from fuel, it's not a problem. But we've done that now for more than 18 months. 18 months down the line, if we have needed somebody to come into Nigeria and begin to assemble, even if it's tricycles, the electric tricycles are everywhere in the world. They are not as expensive as we think they are. And I'm sure if they are now knocked down and assembled locally,
so
the prices are going to be much lower.
Would you now say that
we got material for making batteries? What are we in ensuring that the nickel, that the lithium batteries are produced locally? Now, if you take away consumption and dependence, right, from the fossil fuel, away from petrol, and then you can drive your cars, you can drive a few things that are electric and are locally assembled, which means the price. Now, what do you need to bring in a factory? I don't think it is rocket science. If you have 774 local governments and they are buying only 10 pieces, that is 7,000, 7,740. And then you are saying states you get 100. By the time you do that for 36 states, you already have about 10,000. So if you are saying we have guaranteed order for 10,000 units of this vehicle, I don't think that if we go across the world shopping for manufacturers who want to call me with a ready order for 10,000, I don't think that would be difficult. They have not seen us do that. Rather, we have been talking, we keep talking refinery, we keep talking CNG. No. Refineries and CNG take us back to the routine and status of going back to fuel. When you run electric tricycle, yes, we need to have charging plants which can be solar created. We can create that and make sure that they are non-fossil fuels, they are renewable. And so people can recharge those cars in city centers, in their houses and in other places.
So, Sir
but
Benedict,
we have not made deliberate effort in that direction that would have tend to give us assurances. The supply chain of petrol is not assured. The price of gas are being on the cooking gas are being on the increase. How are we sure that by the time we go CNG, what has happened to petrol and cooking gas will not happen to the CNG fuel?
A while ago, you agreed that with the long-term economic, stability that the president said, but now I'm confused. I want to know, with the reality on ground, do you see this economic reforms indeed transforming the lives of Nigerians?
Yeah, you see, what I'm saying is, yes, we can say the goals are long-term, but what we say in the interim, there are interventions that can be done. We are not saying subsidize electric vehicles. Electric tricycles are out there between $500 and $750, right? So if we are buying the petrol oil for 2 million or for 2.5 million now, you will realize that the price difference, there is no huge difference in price. And if you will get the manufacturers to come and assemble here, then it means that the price of even the electric tricycle in Nigeria, for instance, will be lower. A number of our markets today are serviced by electric tricycles. In Abuja, in Calabar, by tricycles, I mean. They use petrol. In Abuja, in Kano, in part of Port Harcourt, in part of Lagos, these vehicles are small and they could service some of the markets.
Okay.
The other thing is do an intervention that can bring down the cost of transportation.
Okay.
If the cost of transportation becomes lower, there is no way that the interest rate in Nigeria will not come down.
All right, sir,
Because
Benedict.
food is a major item for us.
Yeah.
Transportation is another major item. And the two of them are linked together. So
Sir,
it's not just producing the farm, empowering the farm. Yes, we need to empower farmers. We need to empower the farm. We need to get to address farming peace. But definitely, we must look at the output home
all right,
in the farm and the market.
let's go on a recess right now. We'll be right back in a short bit as we've got bills to pay. This is still Eagles 102.3 FM, Abuja. And yes, we're still talking politics and current affairs. And what's in discourse this morning would be Nigeria's rising inflation rate. And we're trying to understand the impact and unbundle it at the same time. When we come back, of course, we'll open the phone lines. You also have your say loudly and clearly in the most civil and responsible way. Don't go away.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Please listen to this infomercial.
Hello Nigeria. Hello Africa. Do you want to work in the healthcare sector? Do you want to be a trained, certified nursing assistant, medical assistant, or caregiver? If yes, then register to enroll Africa's 1-year diploma in certified nursing assistance training happening at the African University College of Science and Technology, Abuja. Targeted trainees are unemployed graduates, O-level or ordinary diploma graduates, or anyone interested in working as a support worker in the healthcare sector. For details, log on to www.pushafrica.org or WhatsApp 080-339-42015 080-339-42015 080-339-42015. For registration, pick up application form at our partner radio stations or visit the reception at the African University of Science and Technology, Abuja. Eagles 102.3 FM, Abuja, here to stay.
Education is the major determinant of individuals' development and societal transformation. As individuals of educated societies are productive and patriotic in nation building, while uneducated societies are more prone to developmental challenges such as unemployment, insecurity, and underdevelopment, especially amongst the growing population, as available statistics in Nigeria shows that there are 20 million out-of-school children, in which about 12 million of them are in northern Nigeria, a number that is threatening the peace, security, and the social well-being of the country. Based on this assertion, the Universal Basic Education Commission UBEC is calling on Nigerians in rural and urban centers, especially parents, to always children to schools for them to have a qualitative education. Apart from parents, community leaders such as royal fathers, religious leaders, youth organizations, and the civil society have critical roles to play in ensuring that children are sent to school in their respective communities. It is only by so doing that we can all have educated, productive, and responsible leaders of tomorrow. Remember, education is the key to success.
This message is from UBEC.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
I don't need no liquor. I'm intoxicated by you.
My country people, who work is supposed to enjoy you after all the hustle. You not supposed to take your comfort play to fit sleep the way it's supposed to be. Make you go grab a yo-yo Eurofoam mattress. Make you forget your full comfort. Whether na Euro Spring, Euro Orthopedic, or semi-orthopedic, Diamond and Diamond Plus. And for Comfort Pro Max, Eurofoam don't introduce latest in town. That na Euro Elite. This one, they sleep jolly meant no get equal. Eurofoam get quality pillows and sheetings. Eurofoam shop yakpa everywhere for Bodo Nigeria. Eurofoam, sleep the way it's supposed to.
102.3 Abuja.
You're still tuned in and locked on to Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. We are talking politics and current affairs, and we give you an audio-visual radio experience that you can count on time, any day. Get across social YouTube at Eagles FM Abuja, as well as on Facebook at Eagles FM Abuja. Do well to subscribe via the YouTube channel right there. Leave a message. Do the same with Facebook. Leave a message. Let us know your thoughts on the discourse, which is Nigeria's rising inflation rate, understanding the impact. And you can join the conversation, keeping in mind that our guest is Sir Benedict Olalekan Agunloye, is an information professional, policy and public affairs analyst. And adding your voice to the discourse this morning would mean that you should call the number 0907 353 0044 or 0908 766 8888. Get onto the WhatsApp portal number now. Give us a voice note as well, and you can also give us a WhatsApp message via the WhatsApp number 0909 705 4450 as we go conversational. Hello and good morning.
Hello, Mr. Daniel Uduaka.
Yes,
good
please.
morning, sir.
Good morning to you, please.
And I greet the guest very special,
Right.
and Merry Christmas in advance to you guys.
Very well.
Yes, my name is Hindu, taking all the way from Nasarawa State.
Welcome.
Yes, I want to greet again. So, once again, Mr. Benedict. I always enjoy his analysis because he's so unbiased and he seems to have passion for our country, Nigeria. Anytime that you hear him talk, he's someone that has passion for our country, Nigeria, and wants things to work better. I want to appreciate him for that.
Right.
Talk about the topic. You see, since the removal of fuel subsidy, the inflation have skyrocketed. And with some goods, the price is at the increase about 100%, some 90, some 80. And I will blame this for our president, who single-handedly on the swearing in penny declare subsidy has gone without putting anything on ground. And in the area of transportation, I felt that since Buhari did not budget anything for fuel subsidy in any budget, he should have used at least 6 months in consultation and to make a supplementary bill so he can put some things in order. I imagine that those who were working then from Maraba to Wuse, they were collecting about 25,000 from 6,000. They were going to Wuse for like 300 naira. So I expected, our dear president to not have single-handedly said that fuel subsidy is gone. So for him to go and make consultation and put some things in place. But since he didn't put anything in place, the new fuel subsidy, the economy is depending on fuel. And now you have to pay for transporting goods from other states to here. So it has made inflation to skyrocket with some goods. The increase is about 100%. And it's unfair to Nigerians. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Thank you, B, right there, all the way from Nasarawa State. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Well, you can as well bring your thoughts in 0907 353 0044 is that number to call. The other number is 0908 766 8888. And the WhatsApp portal number 0909 705 4450. Hello and good morning.
No, my name is Kate. How are you?
Good morning. Very well. Thank you, BB.
Happy Christmas to you. I hope you don't get your bag of rice ready and cow meat.
Doing my best, BB.
Okay. I greet our guest.
Yeah.
I greet our caller Isa this morning. My name is BB Blessing. I'm calling from Otako.
Right.
BB, I want to ask question. What will be our benefit for this president? Our president don't come back. I be still there where he dey.
All right, BB says, I want to know if the president is back or is still outside, wherever he may be. Well, let's get on, with the discourse already. Sir Benedict, are you there?
Yes.
Well, you heard Tech and B, heard BB, but then just to add to, the discourse, then of course you can give us your thoughts on this. We've seen just recently the IMF, right? Dr. Daniel Lee, right, a division chief of the IMF Research Department, has also been quoted to saying, as per projection for 2025 as well as 2026, he had said, we expect inflation to decline to 23% in 2025 and further to 18% by 2026. All right. Turkenby has put out, some of his thoughts right there, saying that there's not been any soft landing for Nigerians, as the president had just come out to make predictions without adequate preparation, and look at where we are today.
Well, for me, when we talk about IMF, I see them as urban economists. They really don't, in my opinion, do not understand what transpires between the farm and the market in Nigeria.
Right.
They do not even understand, in my own idea, the fact that our money system is different from many other places. In other nations, you buy with your card from a POS, you can get money back, right? Your money back is just a small money that gets you from where you are to where you are going. But right now, or for more than 4 years, POS has been a business of its own in Nigeria, employing staff. So we've been selling currency since about 2020. Elsewhere in the world, you do money back. In Nigeria, you buy money, not that you buy product. The people who are selling do not even have the POS. It is those who are selling money that has it. So your bank limit is 150 per day, but you can go to a POS and withdraw 500,000.
Right.
Now, those are not what you find elsewhere in the world. So a lot of things about us are illogical. Processes and procedures of the IMF are logical. So their predictions, for me, may work for some urban or for the optics. But the reality is that fundamental things that we need to do, we must drive down transportation. If it is going to be by increasing manufacturing of those items here, we will need to go that way. If we will need to get more coaches and put more rails on the track, we need to do that. If we need to clear the waterways and get more water transportation, we need to do that. But the practical reality is, yes, we possibly fail to prepare for subsidy removal. And we've been talking about it for 18 months before the president came to office. Now it's been in the office for more than 18 months. So altogether, 3 years wasted without putting anything substantive in place. And I think it's not about blaming anybody. Sometimes the people who are around some of those things may not have sufficient ideas as to what to do. So rather than the masses and the people blame them, I think we should be putting solutions on the table. Let them copy and paste, rather than keeping them away from the media because we are always insulting them. No, I don't think it is blame game that we require. It is looking at what we can do going forward. So we need to look at what does what does the bank, the money bank, do to attract funds from the public. The reality right now is that they are discouraging more people from saving their money in the bank. Now, if the money from the people does not come to the bank, then what is the bank going to be trading with? And so, therefore, that we need to look at critically, what do you do to run that? And then we are also looking at cash flow. Where are the POS people getting their cash from? You go to, when money were in the ATM, you see a POS guy come with about 10 to 20 ATM cards, and they empty the money and they go away. But now that the money are not there in the ATM, they are still getting cash, which means some people must have been selling or giving to them. As in my area here, they get from filling station, they get from supermarket. I know they get from the meat seller and other market women.
Right.
Now these are the market women or people who should ordinarily have that POS for you to pay. But when you get to them, they call the POS person to come and sell cash for you. And when they are done trading, they sell the same cash back to the POS person.
All right,
so there must be an immediate action to address that layer of misalignment and maladministration within our currency setting.
All right,
and then going further, you talk about transactional charges, you talk about failed transactions. I think that the fact that they are not reserved as at when due is also reducing the trust of Nigerians in using whether it is transfer or even payment online. Because when there are failures, you don't get your money back, or the effort you require to get the money back is most people are willing to offer. Because if you do a failed transaction of 700 naira and you need to pay 3,000 to go to your bank 2 or 3 times before it is resolved, you will rather give up the 800 naira and also give up the platform that makes you to lose the 800 naira.
So what are your projections for 2025? Do you think with the economic reforms that we have and the state of inflation that we are at this point in time, that we would be able to sustain a 2025?
Well, if nothing is done to address the transport situation, and nothing is done to reignite the people confidence in digital transactions, the money system alone will ensure that inflation does not come down.
Okay.
That's the reality.
Okay.
So if we must bring inflation down, there must be an ease of transaction digitally, backed by speedy resolution of transaction failures. Perhaps a CBN will need a desk to intervene on that, so that everybody on either side, you know that if transaction fail and you don't reverse it, there is a definite fine waiting on your bank. And then maybe at that point there will be responses that are quick and then not genuine.
All right,
transportation, we must drive it down. Whether by electric, whether by the rail, whether by the waterway, something must be done specifically to drive down the cost of transportation from what it is now to at least 50%. Then we are sure that every other process put in place will work.
All right,
so let's fail on transportation and we fail on money transfers, then be sure that every other system will not work.
All right, let's put a peg to your thoughts right there. Open the phone lines again as we are seeing more calls coming through. 0907 353 0044 is that number for you to call. The other number would be 0909 705 4450. And if you send a message via the WhatsApp portal, please, I would advise that we stuck to just the WhatsApp message. Let's not do the voice note. All right, for clarity. Hello and good morning.
Hello, Yudi.
Yes, good morning. Welcome back, BB.
Well done, man.
Yes, please.
See, what I want to ask now, concern this cash where we know they get for back. I bet they see now say this dirty money where they want to throw away before. They bet they bring and come back. Now, not when they say something. They say whether you sure, I sure what I'm saying. I think that this road money now supposed to don't go by now. If you see money way back, you giving common man now. You do. And you say that money they smell. Please, tell Baka. Not the poor people save this money for the house. Enough is enough to back to give us our dirty money where we got away. When you go to the POS now, you will see new money. No money. And then go to the bank, then you select new money, give there. You when you know save money for your house, wait for the teacher save for house, they will carry and go give Baka will give us dirty money. I don't like it. I know they go back, go collect money where people they are talking, you see the dirty money as they are smelling. Please, we beg Baka, let them give our new money to us. Enough is enough. And where is our president? You know where president is now because of him, then they want to change this hold money. But now, he don't run away. Now, they say they will provide a motor for us. Up to now, Christmas is at the corner now. The next 5 days now, Christmas is very sure the month. Where is the motor? Where is the vehicle? We need our vehicle to provide for us, make people take travel. God bless you. Well done.
All right. Thank you, BB, right there for your thoughts. BB has raised quite a number of, conversations right there. But, Mr. Benedict, would you like to react to that and then finally give us just 1 minute, for a conclusion as to what you think would be the lot of Nigerians, especially in this season of the Yuletide? against an inflation rate of 34.60%?
Well, definitely there has to be provision to ensure that people can travel, to also ensure that goods can be moved at lower prices. And that's why there is the need to beat down the transport price. The intervention should come in vehicles that use lesser fuel consumption, or that use cheaper means of fuel, or that will run on electricity. That really is important. But there is also that need for TDM to do a job of banking supervision and close up the gaps that are in the system. Right now, the people are losing on all directions. You lose from ATM, you go to the bank to queue, and after 2 hours you are paid just 5,000 naira, even though irrespective of whether your account is personal or corporate. I don't know what you want people to do with that. If people need 5 to 10,000 naira for transportation and feeding daily, and the bank can only release 5,000, it tells me that more people will not take their money to the bank. And if care is not taken, the banks can think they are strong. But one of the things that will determine your strength is your asset base. And if the people refuse to bring their money, whether they like it or not, if the outflow is higher than the inflow, no matter how much they try to control it, then there will be crisis, even in the banking sector itself, in no distant time. So everybody needs to look at it as this is a spaceship where we are all in, and everybody must play its part to ensure that there is no shipwreck. Because when the ship will be on the wrong place, it will not be some individuals that will be affected.
All right.
It will affect so many people.
Great.
And those who even think they might survive may actually be doing the wrong estimation.
Right.
So we all need to put our hands on deck. We need to leave out the blame game, and let's come up with solutions to everything that we observe. And when the solutions are there on the table, I think that the policy makers and those who are in office may see that as free consultancy and at least save the situation. Because if the nation crashes, even them in office and highly placed will suffer the more. That is the reality.
All right, that's the reality. And it also goes to saying that the rise in inflation rate in Nigeria is quite complex from what you've said, but then it's not, it's not rocket science at the same time because it requires a multifaceted approach to address. But the government's policymakers and stakeholders must also come together to implement effective policies that should somewhat promote economic growth, stability, and sustainability. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Benedict Malikoy, for adding your voice in the discourse this morning. You are an information professional, a policy and public affairs analyst. Okay, I guess a little bit of a distraction right there, but yes, this is how we call it a close. Thank you, Tekken B, Hundu. Thank you, BB, blessing. For your voice. Where's Mr. President is with us? Where would he be? Where else would he be? But anyways, I'm just saying. But that's it on Eagles Outlook this morning. My name is Udwak Daniel, and I would join us to be politically sound, because the truth is I alone cannot make the polity. It is you and I that the polity is dependent upon to make